have a friend that likes to go to auctions, and she got this Skein Winder at an auction, took it home, and then her husband fixed it up to get it working. And basically the way that you work it is you'll put your hand in the handle once you've spun your yarn, and you'll wrap it around here, one of these, and you'll wind it to make a hank or your skein. Once that has been done, you can then use it also as a yarn swift to actually wind your yarn up into a cake. But I just thought it was neat. Thought I would show it to you, because the house right now, the apartment, I don't have any room to set it up right now because I'm going through the craft room and doing some rearrangement. So I just thought I'd bring it up outside and set it up and show you it so you could see it. And next we'll get on to the rest of the video. Bye.
Hi, it's Jane with Scraptastic Yarns Podcast. I started out the video showing you the yarn Skein Winder that my friend got for me at auction. I just haven't got enough room to put it someplace in the craft room yet, so I'm making room for it. So right now, I took the video outside just to make it simpler. Today is Thursday, May the 24th. I'm a couple of days late. Last week we went to see my mother-in-law in North Carolina. It was her birthday on Saturday, which the family had a surprise birthday party for her. And boy, was it a real surprise. She didn't expect it at all. They've tried several years to surprise her and just haven't managed to do it. But this time we managed to do it. I got a few things. Well, I'll tell you why I didn't film Tuesday. We came back Monday evening, and it's about a 9.5, 10-hour drive. I was pretty exhausted. Tuesday I had a class over in Mifflinburg, an embroidery class. And at the very end I'll post a picture of the end result of that. And it's machine embroidery. The way that they do that there at Hoover's, each year we choose a book that we want to make blocks from, and then the instructor, who also digitizes the designs, she actually goes in, contacts the author of the book as well as the publishing company to seek permission to digitize the designs, and then we can use those. The one thing that they do insist, though, is that we all purchase that book to use that in the designs. And, we're all happy to do that because the design that was chosen this year is basically an applique block. So they're very simple to digitize, a little easier than having to go from scratch and digitize every bit of it. And it also uses the Bernina software to digitize, so it's a very interesting concept, and we have a lot of fun with it. And it's very interesting to go through the class and see the very different fabrics that are chosen for the block to finish it. We're all doing the same block, but as you can imagine, different fabrics make the block look very different from each other. So it's kind of fun to see that. I was going to walk around filming, but the CEO and Vice President of Bernina USA were in the shop that day, so I chose not to film. The owners are Mennonite, and they choose not to have their likenesses filmed. And of course, a lot of the girls that work in the shop are either Amish or Mennonite, so they don't want their likenesses filmed. So I chose not to do that today because the girls were in and out answering questions, and It was a little too difficult to film to show the way that the class is set up and how it's done. I only have a couple of finished items. This one is the Mountain Land scarf. And this item was done in the Loops and Threads Barcelona Poolside colors. I have a couple of hats that I've finished. Baby hats, of course, for the nursery. These two, I have some buttons, like car buttons, bug buttons, that I'm going to put on there so that they can be used more for males. I do have another finished item, and this is something that has been sitting over in my pile for the longest time, probably close to a year, year and a half. I made a conscious decision a couple weeks ago that I'm going to finish those projects. So I'm working very hard to finish each one and get them done up a little, so I can get them finished, not the hooks or needles. This is a shawl that is called Foams and Waves. It is a free pattern. It is basically done garter stitch. The pattern calls for on one end to have 2 stitch for the border, and on the other end 3 stitches. That kind of drove me nuts because it's hard to remember. So what I did is I did 3 stitches on one end, just add an extra stitch, and 3 stitches on the other end. And the way that this was constructed was you would do your 3 stitches, then increase in the next 2 stitches, and then you would basically knit all the way till you get to the center point. And the center point, it's basically just a kind of rib that is made in that. You don't have a real defined opening for the middle spine, but where you've placed your marker, that last stitch before and after the mark, you will do an increase, which is all the increases were knit front and back. And then of course you knit all the way to the end. And then last 2 stitches before the marker, before the last 3 stitches. So I guess it's the last 5 stitches. In the 5th and 4th stitch you would do an increase, knit front and back, and then slip your marker and then knit the 3. Now when it came to this actual lace pattern that's in it, and this is done in acrylic, this is done in Sweet Roll Cherry Swirl. I don't know if you can even get this color anymore. I got it when the Sweet Rolls first came out. It was back when they were really big. And I used 2 balls, or 2 cakes. And that was back when they were 489 yards in the Sweet Rolls. I don't think they're that anymore. I think they're about 297. Don't quote me on that because I'm not positive. But you can see I've got about half a cake left. So it took 1.5 cakes to make this, because what you're doing is you're just going to, do this, keep repeating and increasing every other row. The row that normally when you're doing stockinette that you would purl back, you just knit straight back. No increases. Maybe there was an increase. Don't quote me on that. It's just knitted all the way back. But when you got to this part, it is an 18 stitch repeat for this lace pattern. But you still increase. And you do that for 14 rows. So what I chose to do was to knit my 3, slip the marker, increase both of those stitches, and place another marker. So that way, once I started this, the lace repeat way back here, it would come out right, because there's no way you're going to make it right, because what you wind up having is like 14 stitches in between here and the actual pattern repeat for it to work up right. And what I chose to do was put a marker there and then put a marker after the increase so that I knew that I was starting the lace pattern after that. And then you would just increase in between the two markers. And that was it. And I'm very impressed with the way that skein actually worked up. And you can see the color changes. Everybody, I took it in to the fire hall for the girls to see it yesterday, and they were all surprised because the first thing they thought was that it was that I had changed colors at the end of the row, but I didn't. This is just the way that the sweet roll worked up, and it's absolutely beautiful. Of course, that will go to prayer shawl. I'm working on several things. My works in progress are next, and I actually have my February lady. I've gotten about that much done on it. It's over there. I can't get it. I forgot to get it, so I'm not going to bother getting it. The other piece that I am working on is the Hesperide shawl, and I've gotten this much done so far. That's in the spirit of the mandala, whatever it is. I will say, when I started this pattern, I got very confused. Let me go back to the cherry swirl shawl. When on our way down to North Carolina, I worked on that in the car, and I worked on it wrong. So I had to rip back 49 rows to get it back in to where I needed it to go. So I'm going to post a picture of that here. Now let's get back to the Hesperides. It was extremely confusing to me, the written part of it. There are two variations on this shawl. One is a classic triangle, and one is more what comes down into a V, the triangle, and then a V up like this. So I chose to do the classic triangle. I may do it in the other as well, but thank God for charts. If you don't know how to read a chart, it would do you some good to learn to read charts. This pattern, the chart on the back, I'm able to work from the chart, but the wording of it is so confusing. I'm not sure that the person who wrote this pattern's first language is English, and that may be why it's confusing to me. But then again, there are no set standards for crochet, how you write directions, as much as what you do with knit. A lot of us mimic some of the better writing patterns when we write patterns, simply because it's simpler and it makes more sense. So, now while we were in North Carolina, that Saturday before my mother-in-law's birthday, I had told my husband he needed to take me to Hobby Lobby. Our Hobby Lobby that is near us is like an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So we don't get there very often. We have to make a concentrated effort to get over there. Plan the day to go. Well, this is about 35 minutes away. His family lives in Mebane. Well, his mother lives in Mebane, North Carolina. And the Hobby Lobby is in Burlington, North Carolina, in the Alamance Shopping Center. I think that's what it's called. Quite a few shops. It looks like a little village. You got to walk around to each one. So he took me to Hobby Lobby. And of course, yarn was acquired. I'm not going to go anywhere without getting yarn, especially if they have yarn. So I got 5 skeins of this. I love this yarn. It is a print, what they call their print, and it is in the color name Blosmopolis. Kind of reminds me of flowers. The reason I got that is because one of the video podcasts that I follow is Jay's Knit and Pearl Jam. I really like her channel. She teaches you a lot about taking stitches and creating shawls, items out of that. And one of the latest ones that she has done is a vest, a springtime vest. And she uses V-stitches to make this vest. And I decided I want to make me a vest. So I bought 5 skeins of that to make the vest. I don't think I'll use all 5, but I just wanted to make sure I had plenty. You can't worry about them not having enough. Let me see, where's my other ball? Oh, I did get 2 of these. This is Yarn Bee Sweet Divinity in the color Cobalt. Such beautiful colors there. This is it's 243 yards. It is a number, I want to say it's like a number 3 weight. It reminds me of the mandala. It is actually, I think it's a mixed fiber. Let me see if I can find it. Watch, I probably won't be able to find it. Well, I'm not going to find it. I don't know if it is a full acrylic yarn or not. I don't see anything that tells you whether it's just a full acrylic or not. But it's beautiful. So I got 2 of those. Planned on doing a shawl. And then while we were there, I found some Yarn Bee sugar wheels that I really like. They had them on sale. And of course everything, is like 30% off. Although they've raised all their prices, right now all their yarn is 30% off. I think they're doing that to get us used to the higher price. And that's fine. This color is an Eclair to Remember. And I got 2 of those. And don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. Don't know if I'm going to give that away in the giveaway or what exactly. But did get that. Also got some more little charms to make some stitch markers. These I think I'm going to add some beads as well so that I can put the hook size that I'm using on it. I do have another set of these that I've made previously that are just this and the little stitch into the lever back earrings that I use for the stitch markers. I like those a little bit better than the light bulb shaped ones, although both of them are fine to use. I just prefer that one. It's a little easier to get on and off. Now I'm older, I've got a little more arthritis. That one is a little harder to move and to work. I also got a book for embroidery stitches. I've been enjoying doing the embroidery on that the stitch along that Christy Crafts had, and I'm really enjoying the embroidery. I realized I never really learned embroidery, and I'm enjoying that. So I thought I would continue with a few more items for that. That is it for today. I will be back to my normal podcasting on Tuesdays, and I'll see you later. Bye.